The political exchange between His Excellency Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Samoei Ruto has escalated. Are there political games being played here? Or is this just something that has gotten personal? We are going to analyze that in today's show. But first of all, some amazing breaking news. Kenyan businessman Raphael Ongangi has been found, a few hours ago, safe and sound in Mombasa. And this, of course, has been confirmed by close family members, including his wife. Now, you remember that Bwana Ongangi is the man who disappeared in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam, about 9 days ago. Okay? And I told you on this channel, the people who specialize in that kind of business in Tanzania are not thugs. It is actually the government. It's a government organ called Usalama wa Taifa. That's the equivalent of the National Intelligence Service in Kenya. Now, super fascinating is that Bwana Ongangi is actually involved in politics in Tanzania. How so? He has been the personal assistant of harsh government critic in Tanzania, Bwana Zitto Kabwe, who is a legislator. Indeed, Hon Kabwe owns his own political party. The long and short of it is that this is no ordinary businessman. But of course, we are very grateful that Bwana Ongangi has returned safe and sound, even if he vanished in Dar es Salaam and re-emerged in Mombasa. I don't think it matters much. The important thing is that he's okay. I will, of course, keep you very well informed on that issue on this channel. Now, the sad news that greeted Kenyans on Monday morning was the passing on of Safaricom Chief Executive Officer, Bob Collymore. The Safaricom board has just announced, Michael Joseph as the interim, acting Chief Executive Officer of the telecom giant. Now, unfortunately, many younger Kenyans may not have a very good idea of the role that Michael Joseph has played in Safaricom. Many may not even be aware that Michael Joseph was in fact the first Chief Executive Officer of Safaricom. And he took over in the year 2000 and handed over to the late Bob Collymore in November 2010. Now, the truth is, Michael Joseph is the main architect, the main inventor who created this money-making machine called Safaricom, the most profitable company in East and Central Africa and beyond. A multi-billion shilling enterprise. And it is just super fascinating that in 2000, Michael Joseph walked into the first Safaricom office, which was barely larger than a 10 by 10 tiny office within the then giant Kenya Post and Telecommunications building. He just walked in with a briefcase. The then giant Kenya Post and Telecommunications had a very small subsidiary that ran a cell phone company, which they had just sold to Vodacom. And that is how Michael Joseph landed there and started working his magic of innovation. And even after handing over the reins to the late Bob Collymore, Michael Joseph has always remained a key component in Safaricom. He's on the board. Still, his appointment in acting capacity so quickly tells a very big story. You see, the mafisi within the Kenyan government, if I can call them that, have been fighting for ages to get one of their own as Chief Executive Officer of Safaricom. Indeed, when Bob Collymore was appointed in November 2010, there had been a lot of pressure on the board from the Kenyan government to appoint a local Kenyan. Many Kenyans believe, me included, that appointing a local will just turn Safaricom into another Kenya Airways. Not because Kenyans don't have the capabilities to manage, but because This kind of political appointments are done with the understanding that you're going to do favors. And when you bring favors into a corporate organization and corruption into a corporate organization, then what happens is what's happening to Kenya Airways. Now, of course, this will shock a lot of Kenyans who are not aware that the government of Kenya still has substantial shares in Safaricom. Bottom line, we should expect a lot of drama on the Safaricom board in the next few weeks and months. Now on to Raila and Ruto. The current saga started when His Excellency Raila Odinga, in a very thinly veiled attack at the Deputy President, said that those who donate huge sums of money in churches should state clearly where their source of income is, where they got all that money. Barely 2 days later, the Deputy President responded by labeling the former Prime Minister the Lord of Poverty, who does not believe in any meaningful development, but wants Kenyans to remain poor so that they have to continue depending and relying on him. And the Deputy President gave very specific examples. He said Raila was against the Eurobond. Raila was against the SGR. Now, the fascinating thing here is that those examples given by the Deputy President are all linked to corruption. There was a lot of Eurobond cash that to date has never been accounted for. The standard gauge railway had the same controversies. Indeed, the Kenyan SGR has emerged as one of the most expensive in the world. And yet nothing about it justifies the money that was spent on it. In fact, many experts say that the initial funds borrowed for the SGR were more than enough to get the SGR all the way up to the border, Busia, the border between Kenya and Uganda, if not to Kisumu. Anyway, that outburst by the Deputy President caught many Kenyans by complete surprise. Many to this day are wondering, what was that about? Many are of the view that it was just an emotional outburst, with very little to do with politics. And now the ODM party has come out, and criticized the Deputy President, calling him a joker in the eyes of most Kenyans who understands what he's about. So, what is this really all about? Now, it is worth noting that this attack has come at a time when the former Prime Minister is very busy with his ODM party, trying to reorganize it in readiness for the 2022 presidential elections and indeed general elections. And indeed, very recently, the top party organ authorized the former Prime Minister to go ahead and seek new alliances in readiness for the 2022 elections. It is also no secret, as the chaos continue within the ruling Jubilee party, ODM has now emerged as the strongest, most viable current political party in the country, with impressive grassroots support countrywide. And so it would appear that the Deputy President's shocking remarks were meant to slow down this progress, to divert attention from Kenyans to the growing strength of the ODM party, and instead to focus on one individual, former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, and indeed to focus the attentions of Kenyans on one aspect about Raila Odinga that may not make him look very good in the eyes of voters. And that is, he has never been known to be a generous contributor at Harambes. He doesn't crisscross the country dishing out money like DP William Ruto does. Now, you and I can probably understand that very quickly. After all, he doesn't have a huge war chest, whose source is suspect. That's not Raila Odinga's style. But it would seem that the objective of the Deputy President was to paint Raila Odinga in poor light as a very stingy, mean person, who cannot part even with a shilling easily. Something that could easily sell to ordinary Kenyans, especially poverty-stricken Kenyans in rural areas and in cities and towns across the country. And especially those in ODM strongholds who have benefited from the generosity of the Deputy President. There are those who see this latest saga as a clear sign and evidence of the Deputy President getting very worried about the political machinery that is being put together and being oiled in preparation to face him in the 2022 presidential elections. And he just felt compelled to throw a spanner into the works, to slow down this machine. This political juggernaut called ODM, that is a real obstacle, to his intentions to ascend to the presidency of Kenya. Still, there are very many Kenyans who are horrified, that somebody who calls themselves a Christian and a contributor to churches would launch such a vicious, abusive attack against another person. Remarks that came out in a very unchristian way, and attacks that were indeed very unchristian against Raila Odinga. We eagerly wait to see how this developing story proceeds. And of course, I'm keeping a very close eye on it on your behalf. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.